There is a version of you that only exists outside of the places that broke you. A version that breathes easier, thinks clearer, and makes different choices. But you'll never meet them if you keep trying to heal in the exact same place where you were broken and was just learning to survive. Hi, I'm Essence, and I make videos for those of you that are done waiting. Done waiting for motivation, done waiting for approval, and done waiting for the perfect timing. Here we focus on showing up, building ourselves, growing quietly and slowly, but consistently. This is no fluff, just real talk about mindset, habit, and becoming the person that your dreams require you to be. Your environment shapes your identity and your self-worth. People act like healing is only internal. Affirmations, therapy, reflections, journaling. And yes, those things matter, but your environment builds you before you ever try to heal. Where you live, who you surround yourself with, what you tolerate, what you normalize, all of it becomes the blueprint for who you think that you're allowed to be. If you spend enough time around people who belittle you, eventually you'll start doing the job for them. When you're surrounded by chaos all the time, then stillness starts to feel suspicious. If you grew up in an environment where your feelings didn't matter, then you internalize that and you start to believe that you yourself don't matter. And I have stayed in both relationships and friendships, as well as keeping habits that were breaking me because I convinced myself that I was the issue, I was the problem. I thought that if I tried harder, if I stayed quieter, loved deeper, or fixed myself enough, things would get better. But the environment wasn't designed for me to thrive, it was designed for me to shrink. Healing isn't just about growing, it's about learning where you were trained to stay small. Staying where you were hurt keeps old patterns alive. When you stay in the same environment that wounded you, your body doesn't forget, your mind doesn't forget, and your patterns certainly don't forget. You're still operating from this survival mode, even if you think you've moved on. This is why people stay in abusive relationships for a lot longer than they should, because the cycle becomes familiar, it becomes predictable, and comforting in a twisted way. This is why people fall back into the same friendships that have drained them, because being unwanted by familiar people feels a lot safer than being unknown to new people. And this is why some of us numb ourselves. We fall into drinking, we fall into smoking, we fall into overworking. Anything that helps us tolerate this reality that we're too scared to leave from. You can try to change inside, but if everything around you stays the exact same, the old you will always find a way back. Patterns do not break in environments that have created them. Healing requires distance, new inputs, and unfamiliar peace. There's a kind of healing that no one really talks about, and that version of healing is where you have to step back physically and emotionally. Sometimes you need distance to hear your own thoughts, and sometimes you need new routines to break old cycles. Sometimes you need new people to show you what healthy feels like, what it looks like, and all that. You cannot become your healed self in the same place that you became your hurting self. And here's the truth. Unfamiliar peace is going to feel 10 times scarier than familiar pain, because pain is something that's predictable, it's something that we've learned to manage, and pain has a script. But peace leaves room for the unknown. It asks you to trust yourself, and it requires you to believe that you deserve something easier, something kinder, something softer. Healing requires step-by-step expansion where you have new boundaries and new habits and new energy, new environments. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You just need to find some place where your new healing can start and give it somewhere new to land. Leaving isn't betrayal. It's the beginning of real healing. And this is the part that most people struggle with. And I mean, rightfully so, because it can be really hard to detach yourself from somebody that you really love. You can still love someone and walk away from them. You can be grateful for a place and where it got you and still have the need to outgrow it. You can care deeply for someone and realize that they're not a safe place in your heart. Leaving isn't betrayal, it's self-preservation. It's stepping into a life that you were meant to have before survival mode became your entire life and your entire personality. People will guilt trip you when you finally decide to choose yourself. They'll say that you're self-centered, they'll say that you've changed, they'll say you're distancing yourself and that you're just being dramatic. They'll try to play it off as something that they can be the victim to. But growth always looks like betrayal to people who benefited from your silence. You're not required to stay in environments that punish your softness or your growth or your healing, not even your becoming. And healing isn't just about what you become and who you become. It's also about what you stop returning to. And sometimes the most powerful part of healing is this simple truth. You don't have to keep revisiting the places that you lost yourself. Your healing is waiting for you, but it's outside of the environments that broke you. You deserve distance, you deserve space, and you deserve a life that doesn't ask you to shrink to survive. And if you have to leave in order to get that version of you that can finally breathe, you're allowed. You're allowed to outgrow the life that hurts you. You're allowed to save yourself. And that's not running away, that's rising.